Today's trip tip will cover how much money, as well as additional perks, you are owed if you volunteer to be bumped from a flight. It's common practice for airlines to sell more tickets than they actually have seats available on an aircraft, since it's assumed that a certain number of passengers are going to miss the flight. There are circumstances where all passengers do end up showing up for the flight, at which point the airline is going to try to find passengers to volunteer and give up their seat to take a later flight instead. It can be quite beneficial to volunteer to take a later flight if you are flexible with your travel plans. That's because the volunteers are going to be compensated with flight credit, as well as additional perks like vouchers for food or even a hotel overnight. The search for volunteers is usually going to happen at the boarding gate about 1 hour to half an hour before the flight begins boarding. It's kind of like an auction process where the gate agent is going to announce over the speakers that the flight is overbooked and that they are searching for volunteers to take a later flight. They will indicate how much money they are offering those volunteers, usually starting at just $100 to take the next flight. If no one volunteers, they will then make another announcement saying that they will offer $200 to anyone that volunteers to take a later flight, and so on and so on. It can be thousands of dollars in airline credits that end up being given away. You will want to be quick and not too greedy, because as soon as passengers begin volunteering, you have missed your chance to volunteer yourself. Some airlines will ask passengers during the online check-in process to put a minimum amount that they would accept to give up their seat in the case that the flight is overbooked. Whatever amount you put in during the check-in process is not enforceable. So if you do get to the gate and you decide you still want to take the flight, or that you would need more money to take the next flight, you are able to negotiate that. There is no limit to the amount of airline credit that an airline will offer you to take a later flight, so definitely feel free to negotiate based on things like the length of the delay that you will need to wait until the next flight, as well as voucher conditions like if there is an expiration date or if it can be used during holiday times. You can ask for additional perks such as meal vouchers or access to the lounge while you wait, or even a hotel and transportation to that hotel if you had to wait overnight. To take it a step further, you could ask for an upgrade to business class on your new flight, and you could even negotiate a more preferable route for that new flight, such as having a direct flight instead of a connecting flight. My best experience was when I earned $1,000 in future flight credits that did not expire, as well as was able to change my flight destination from Singapore to Thailand, which was where I originally wanted to go, but the tickets were just too expensive at the time. For your best chance to volunteer to be bumped from your flight, you will want to head to your boarding gate as soon as possible, especially if during your online check-in process you receive that notification that was asking you how much you would need to be paid if you were to take a later flight instead. Definitely hit the subscribe button to join us back here for more trip tips next week. Bye.